I'm Clay from Fall Line Outfitters, and today we'll be tying the Girdle Bug. The Girdle Bug is an amazing stonefly pattern. It can mimic a lot of other things as well, and it definitely should be one of the top 5 nymphs you should have in the box. It really excels in cutting through high flow waters, which as of early spring, we got plenty of runoff and snow melt to deal with. And it's a great early season snack, especially as we start to have our first stoneflies hatch here at the beginning week of March. Let's get into it. Now to touch on materials on this fly are very, very basic. We're starting out with the fulling mill jig hook, size 12. This specific fly comes in a wide variety of sizes, but I'll be tying it in a fairly small version of it. I'm pairing that with a 3.8 slotted tungsten bead, color copper. The next important part is going to be your chenille. This is a medium variegated chenille, black/coffee. Any stonefly chenille that you prefer is totally fine. You can tie it in wild colors too for like crappie and such. And any small leggings. Now for tools, it's very simplistic as well. All you're gonna need is your bobbin. I got 140 denier Danville thread in there as well. Your favorite pair of really nice sharp scissors. Whip finish to wrap it all up. And a bodkin can be helpful to pluck out the rubber legs that they want to get caught up and trapped underneath the chenille. Now to get started, it's really simple. You're just going to start with your jam knot. You're going to just get your thread started. This pattern has been very successful for me. One of my biggest fish this last year came off of it. It was during a high water condition. And I threw it up around a creek bend. It drifted down. It didn't even drift. It landed in the water, and a 17-inch brown grabbed it immediately. And for Wisconsin, the rubber legs are great because they come in these tabs, so they don't go all squirrely on you. But I'm simply going to, I ripped it a bit. I'm going to pull off a singular strand of these rubber legs. I should say barred legs, but it's all the same to me. I'm gonna try, and you don't have to be exact, but you're just gonna try. You're gonna try and get them to be roughly even in your hand. When you get them to be roughly even, you're just gonna try and do your best to split them in half. Now that you have them in halves, you wanna put them into quarters. This will each be a separate tie-in, and it's okay if they're not exact, because in fact that'll help you later choose which rubber leg goes where. I'm gonna get this relatively even in my hand. I'll try to show it up to the camera like it's, my shakes. But they're fairly close together, right? I might even it up just a hair more. I'm just gonna pull, cut, boom. There's number 2. Last bit, same thing again. Even them up, cut them. Now I'm gonna set these down on the table. You won't be able to see this specifically, but I just have them all lined up relatively even with each other. The longest one that you have is going to be used for the tail section of the girdle. For me, it happens to be this one. And I'm gonna fold it over in my hands. This one you wanna try and be as even as possible. And you don't want them to wrap over each other because it makes a headache later. But I'm going to try and pinch that down as long as I can, because the longer I get these legs, the more air I have later that I can trim. And I'm going to very nicely here choke up on my bobbin. That way I can get that started at least. I'm going to start that on top of my shank of the hook. Now you can see here that my legs are not even, and that's okay right now. The main thing is I want these rubber legs to split, and I want them to be pushed down onto the sides of the shank, so that we have a really, really, really nice V that's going to mimic that stonefly. I'm going to just add a thread base here to be real nice. You can, and I didn't mention this in the beginning video, but if you have lead-free wire, you can always add lead-free wire there. This is 0.15. You don't have to. I'm not going to for this one. It does even out your shank a little more nicely, but that's okay. Next bit is going to be your chenille, because we got to work it forward just as if you were tying a bugger. I am going to specifically come up to the head of this, and I'm going to take off maybe a 1/4 inch. I'm going to go in there and I'm just going to pluck. And you can see that inner band has been exposed. I'm going to set that on that shank as close as I can so that way I don't have to wrap it. It's okay if you do. The fish will still eat it. It's not a big deal. I'm just going to cover it thread. This is another beauty of why I love doing nymphs, because you can never have too many wraps. You can, but it's not as big of an issue. I'm going to go back a little further into the bend of this hook. That way I get more body in here. I'm going to come back up to about just before half. Now, from the 3 rubber leg quarters that you have left, I'm going to pick the 2 shortest that are left. Now with the rubber legs, you're going to keep it in one hand and you're going to set it on your thread. I'm going to wrap it around the thread, and I'm keeping this in mind for how I'm wrapping it, but I'm going to come in and I'm going to pinch it against there. And once it's in there, it's secured and isn't going anywhere. And I'm just going to do 1, 2 securing wraps. Excuse me. And I got to do the same thing for the other side. Now with the other side specifically, I'm going to come around over here. You got to be real careful. Oop, it came off. That's okay. Just let go too soon. I'm going to come. Oop, I got to go this way. It's reversed. And once I get it in there, I can let go. Now my ends are uneven a bit. Ideally, you did it perfect, is that if the X meets in the middle, mine's just a hair off, but that's okay. And my legs are slightly uneven, so I'm just gonna pull on one side there and even them up. I'm gonna pull this backwards, and I'm gonna work up to the front of the fly now. Now, because I didn't add the lead-free wire in there on this particular one, I'm gonna give it a bit of a thread base. For the head, I'm going to do the same exact portion. I do it this way just so that my fingers can handle it. I'm doing that same technique as those 2 middles, but I am not totally securing it down because I want to actually pull, and I'll turn this so you guys can see it. But I want to try and pull this so that there's just a little itty bitty tag end left. Now that that tag end's in there, I am going to wrap this around to the other side. And it's important that you keep this in a loop. One, it makes for a lot easier tying, and there's less bits and pieces to run around with each other. But I'm going to do a wrap. Now, my wrap ended up on top. That's okay. That's as simple as pulling it very carefully off to the side. I actually pulled it out of my loop. That's okay. Just undo one wrap. There's probably a better way to do this, but this is the way I've learned. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. There we go. Now you see those 2 tag ends in there. After I'm done tying this fly, I don't want this fly to then come undone. So I'm just going to wrap over those 2 to secure it. There's another variety of this where you can actually tie off the front here and then jam the bead over it. I like all of my legs personally to be aligned with each other on the top. That's just not something, but you can do it if you want to. It's totally fine. Now we're going to come back and do the chenille. This is where your bodkin comes into play. And I'm going to wrap. Let's see, I wrapped that way. I'm going to be careful here. I tied it in a little close to this leg, so it's acting like it's controlling it. But here, this leg's wanting to be trapped. I don't want it to be. I'm gonna pull it off to that side. Now this leg's gonna want to be trapped. Come in here, pluck it out. I want to do one more wrap in there. Now I'm going into the X, and that'll jam that leg backwards. This is why we don't concern ourselves with where the legs necessarily are. We just worry about their proportions and lengths. Now I'm gonna come out of the X on top, and I'm just gonna keep working my way forward. This one needs to be on this side now, and I jam all the way up. Let's see here, we'll go. We'll stop it in here, that's totally fine. Now I accidentally overwrapped my thread on accident, but that's okay. I'm just gonna do my simple. But once you get it up to the front, all you're gonna do is just a simple X wrap over your chenille. I've already secured it. Get it nice and close in there without cutting your thread. You cut it there. Oh, I had some loose ends in there from my fingers being a little too rough with the chenille, but. Now, in order to do your whip finish, you're gonna wanna cut those now. Now that looks like a darn good girdle bug. Just to finish out, just a nice little wrap without trapping your rubber legs in there. Now you can add like a UV resin in there or a head cement. It'll do just fine. Like I said, I did a bit too much of my head wrap there. Last bit is that you can leave it just like that. That's totally fine. I like to trim the legs just a hair. What I like to do is use this guy as my point, and I like to point my scissors at that tail. And that's my reference point. It's okay if you snip a little bit, but. And then proportionally, those ones that you were on are just a hair too long. So always try to cut too little first before you cut too much. Obviously, it's a pain in the butt if you cut too much, then you don't want to fish it, but. And if the rubber legs just need a little minor adjustment here and there, that's okay. Oop, I got snugged. There's your girdle bug. In the event you want to come by to the shop, like I said, we have plenty upstairs. I'd be happy to show you where they are in the bin. All the materials that I used today will be listed in the description. Or if you come in the shop, I'm more than happy to show you. If you're interested in seeing a different fly on the channel, by all means, leave a comment. I would love to see what you guys want to see. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and see you in the shop or out on the water.